Captain Richard Phillips dove overboard and snipers took out the pirates.
Wow, he makes it sound like such a tale of courage, bravery, American spirit, and so exciting. Except those two events happened about a day in between the guy jumping into the water and the snipers taking out his captors. There's a big time gap between those two events. Nice try, though.
Guess what story made it on the front page of the Washington Post? That's right, Barack Obama got a dog named Bo. Really, the Washington Post couldn't think of anything more important than talking about Barack Obama's dog. Was this the first dog that a president ever got? No, presidents have had several dogs. Why is this on the front page?
It's on the front page because people like cutesy little animal stories. And why are you even talking about it? If it's so unimportant and not worth covering with news, why are you covering it? Because even though you have a fancy background, you're still not the news. You just have a blue screen, you little shit.
Then everyone wonders why everyone says that the media's in the tank for Barack Obama. What a joke.
So everyone's wondering why everyone is saying what they are saying. So I'm wondering why I'm saying what I'm saying. Well, I'm saying what I'm saying because you're an idiot and your grammar sucks. As do your logic and reasoning skills.
In other news, no one seems to notice that the Republicans have no power, Paul Krugman being one of them.
Wait, he's one of who? What? I'm not sure what you just said, really. But of course, the Republican Party has no power. They lost the election by a massive margin because, well, basically, they suck. Kind of like you.
Paul Krugman just wrote a column even admitting in the first paragraph that the Republicans have no power, but he still decided to write a column on why he thought the Tea Parties were stupid.
Well, that's because they are stupid. What the Tea Parties actually are, well, the Republican Party organizing these political rallies and dressing them up to look like they just happened kind of by accident. People were just so upset with the government that they all converged and had an impromptu political rally, when in fact they're fully funded by the Republican Party. You should read the article he has in the sidebar. The article actually has some very good points in it, unlike how the world works.
It's the fact that Barack Obama is going to bankrupt this country.
Okay, first up, you've got to spend money to make money. And also, America's been kind of broke, bankrupt, and in heavy debt for a long time. He's spending a lot in order to try and boost your economy to get you out of debt. You should be thanking him for having the balls to do it. You obviously don't. And it's also not really a fact until it's actually happened.
Barack Obama has promised to spend more money than from 1776 than to 2008.
I don't know where you got that idea from. The idea that it's even possible to spend more in 1 year than your entire country has in hundreds is absurd. Think of it this way. Obama's 2010 budget is $3.6 trillion. Okay? The budget has only been increased by $500 billion. Only. But as I say that, the 2009 budget submitted by President Bush was $3.1 trillion. The 2008 by Bush, $2.9 trillion. 2007 by Bush, $2.77 trillion. 2006 by Bush, $2.7 trillion. So, you've obviously just made that up and pulled it out of your ass. I want to know where you got that from because it's completely and utterly wrong in every way.
That Barack Obama is going to bankrupt this country. He's making Bush look like a fiscal hawk. And yes, if you took all the money from the top 2% of Americans, you could not pay for this.
That argument is completely irrelevant and has no purpose other than to induce panic in the population.
And the editorial page of the New York Times, which is basically Fantasyland. And if you want to hear more real Fantasyland, the Sudanese ministers blaming unrest in Darfur, get this, on the Jews. Yeah, because the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Sudanese genocide are the Jews.
They probably think that because Israeli has been destabilizing their country systematically, and Israelis are Jewish state. So, in essence, what they actually said was that Israel was the cause, not the Jews. You mutated Israel into Jews.
Don't you love how people in international countries think? Which is why it's completely ridiculous when Justice Ginsburg on the United States Supreme Court claims that we should look to international law to interpret our own laws and Constitution. Whenever a justice says that we should look at international law to interpret our Constitution or our laws, all that means is that they're going to look around the world and find whatever laws they want to make their decision be the way they want it to end up. When Justice Ginsburg or Justice Breyer say that they want to look at international law, or even Justice Kennedy, they never go to Sudan. I wonder why, because it doesn't agree with their own decision. So anytime they say they want to look to international law, it's dishonest. All it is they want the decision to come out the way that they want it to come out.
Well, of course they wanted it to come out how they wanted it to come out, because that's kind of how they want it to come out. I mean, you just repeated the same thing. It's like, the sky is blue, and you know why the sky is blue? Because it's blue. Do you get that? It's blue. That's pretty much what you just did. It's pretty poor, actually. The idea behind looking at the laws of other countries is to look at the laws of other countries, look at the repercussions and the ethical implications, and look at what another country has already discovered, and then apply that to your laws. It's not using another country's laws in America. You're not going to be bound by another country. You've just completely mutated an entire article on the internet and completely misrepresented a woman's ideas, and I think you did it deliberately.
American citizens make American law, and that's how it should be interpreted. Period.
For those of you who haven't picked it up, How the World Works really, really hates countries other than America.
And lastly, as everyone already knows, we had a happy ending to the Somali pirate hostage crisis. Captain Richard Phillips was extremely brave. He jumped overboard.
And then, about a day later,
snipers killed 3 of the pirates,
even though 2 of them were unarmed,
and 1 of the pirates was captured.
Actually, this guy was between the ages of 20 and 16. He was just a kid, and he was already injured, and he was not captured. He gave himself up before any shots were fired.
And now it's about time we start using our Navy to escort ships around the world. That's the reason why John Adams and Thomas Jefferson created a Navy in the first place. It was essentially to stop piracy.
Let me tell you the story of the black, the white, and the grey dog. The white dog earned some food. Then the black dog stole that food. The black dog walked around and waved it in the face of the starving grey dog. The grey dog tried to take the food, so the black dog attacked it and killed it. The black dog represents America, and the grey dog represents the country the pirates came from. The white dog represents most of the world that America has in some way oppressed.
This was a great example of force working. Negotiations didn't work, putting the pirates to death did.
Do you need to see a psychiatrist? Because sometimes you are just a very violent, near sociopathic little bastard. You're so bloodthirsty, it's quite disturbing that people listen to you for opinions and news. Really, really disturbing. Here's why negotiations with your military did not work for the pirates. The military offered to tow the lifeboat that they were holding the captain hostage in to calmer waters. So instead of taking them somewhere safe, they took them to the middle of the ocean where there was no way they could make it back. And then, when these people came out to negotiate, they were shot in the head, even the 2 that did not have any weapons with them. Of course negotiations didn't work. No one even tried it. And seeming as how much you love free market, I'm actually quite surprised you didn't suggest that mercenary pirates were hired to keep the other pirates at bay. I mean, what right does the government have to interfere with the dealings of private companies in non-American waters? Think about that. These aren't American waters. Technically, America's invading their territory. And what's with all your fancy background, look at me, I've got a blue screen effects? Are you trying to distract from the fact that you have nothing real or important to say? Or does the fake newsroom background make you feel more like you're in Fox right now? I'd also like to point out that once again, the globe in the background is spinning backwards again.
Captain Richard Phillips